Hello friends, my name is Lily and I'm the creative director here at Bubblegum Cartoons, and today I'm going to be telling you how I wrote my very own web series. Now, a quick disclaimer, I'm not a professional writer, I'm actually a professional artist. So the way that I write might be a little different than the traditional form. But if you're a visual learner or you want a different way to learn how to write, then stay tuned. Alrighty guys, let's get into how to write your very own web series. My web series, Demonic Crepes, actually started as a one-panel comic. It was just like a quick little doodle I would do in the margins of my notebooks when I was in college. It was just kind of a one-off joke about how all, cats were demons. And from there, I asked myself who this cat was, who his owner was, and what location he was in. And I realized that, the girl was boring, the house was boring, so I wanted to make it bigger and more exciting. So what's more exciting than my study abroad to Japan? So I decided to set it in Japan, which came up in step number 2, which was I turned it into a graphic novel. Now, this graphic novel only contained Sophie and Pancake. It was about 15 pages long, and it was a lot of fun, and it's a little rough, but I made it years ago. I still love it though. It's basically my outline for my pilot episode. Up next, from graphic novel, we go to the pitch Bible. Now, from here to here, we have a lot of development, and we'll get back to this later on, so stay tuned. So the pitch Bible is like a large book that's kind of like where you are gonna pitch the show to a network. So I have to outline all the characters. I really have to sell this thing. It has to be visually really beautiful and really encapsulate my idea and what I want to present in this show. So I outline more characters and locations, and you have to outline a couple episodes. I also included parts of the graphic novel too. In the pitch Bible, it's really, really important that you have a log line, and a log line is basically kind of think of it like the Netflix description when you click on a video. Next, number 4, we have our outline. So for the outline, I do this kind of rough. I do it hand-drawn on paper because that's where my ideas can kind of flow more. And this is where I just draw basic ideas of what I want. I'll put out situations or characters, I'll draw some expressions, and from here you can really kind of tell who these people are and how they're going to interact, and it's really just quick jot downs of ideas between characters. Especially for Demonic Crepes, I really wanted to write down dynamics between Sophie and the other characters, as well as little tiny things that I noticed when I was in Japan as a foreigner, and really put that into the series to make it feel more real. Number 5 is the storyboard, and for me, I do a very loose storyboard. I do it traditionally on paper in little tiny thumbnails. And here I start to develop the script. The script is what everybody says, and it kind of has some little stage directions in there as well. Up next, I do the animation. So not a lot of difference between storyboard and animation other than, of course, visually, but writing wise, you just kind of polish things up. You really can express that script and really have, Sophie saying these certain things in certain ways, and it'll change a little bit from storyboard to animation. And then 7 is something totally weird that I do. After the animation is all done, I do a cleaned up storyboard. And I do this more for the purpose of promotion of the video or for my portfolio. And this is just kind of something I do. It might be busy work, you might not want to do it, but I love storyboarding. It's one of my passions. So after I see it all visually done, I just clean up those storyboards, and I do this digitally. Alrighty guys, now that we have steps 1 through 7, I'm going to be talking about development and how these 7 steps relate to each other. And the huge part of development is ask questions. You have to ask yourself questions about this environment, about this story, how these people will react, who's there, what is this place like, what do they feel about this environment, and how do they react to it differently than somebody else. So from the one-panel comic to the graphic novel, I had to ask myself, who is Pancake's owner? Which he didn't have a name at the time. And her original name was Violet, and she was just kind of this boring girl in the suburban house, and her family didn't like the cat, and her dad was this guy with glasses. And I'm this is super boring. What if I made her a blonde, adorable, magical girl who just kind of jumps into situations without thinking first? And then I asked where they lived, and like I said, I studied abroad in Tokyo, so what better place to set the story than in Tokyo? It's kind of like a giant love letter to my time there. From the graphic novel to the pitch, I had to ask myself a lot of things. This is where a lot of things changed, because originally, if you can tell, from the graphic novel, there was no magic at all. This wasn't a magical story, because I really wanted to express that Sophie was really good at turning a situation that seemed impossible, turning it her way and, winning the situation no matter what. and just being really resourceful. And I thought that maybe she could defeat the monsters always in this way. And then I'm like, why not have a little razzle dazzle and have it be like a magical girl story? Because, you know, it's my series. I can just kind of do whatever fun thing I want. So I had to set down the rules of the magic. Where does it come from? They come from these stones. Where she get the stones? She, you know, gets them from defeating bad guys. Or if she saves an alien population, they'll give it to her as a gift. So I had to figure out where this magic came from. What are the rules? Like, you know, and where does she sit in the story? I know I didn't want her to be a princess, and I did not want her to be a chosen one. Her whole character idea was that she's just some random girl who found Pancake, the demon cat, and a vending machine. This could have been anyone. She's not special. She's not chosen. What's special about her is, you know, her resourcefulness and her creativity. Another question is, who lives in this universe? Who are the guys? Who are the girls? Who are her companions? Who are her enemies? Things like that. Kind of flesh out your universe. And what are the dynamics between them? And then finally, you have to kind of think about what kind of episodes they're going to be. Are they going to be self-contained, or are they going to be like a long stringing along narrative? From the pitch to the outline, you have to pull situations from your real life and kind of refine these characters. So this does not mean that you do a self-insert character.
Good thing that we got that, you know, out of the way.
I can't tell you how many pitches I read from people that are self-insert characters, but you can of course pull a lot from yourself. I pull a lot of myself with Sophie. Sophie's not a direct copy of me. It's not a girl who's an animator in California and her name is Rose, not Lily, and she's a brunette and everybody loves her. Like, it has to be things pulled from you, but they also have to have a lot of flaws too. Think of Gravity Falls. So Alex Hirsch is the creator of Gravity Falls, and he put a lot of himself in Dipper Pines, who's the main character. He put a lot of his like paranoia and just kind of like the things he really enjoyed. He like expressed that he had his summers there. He really liked his conspiracy theories and all those little geeky things, and he incorporated that into Dipper and a lot of his sister Ariel's characteristics into Mabel, and this made them feel like real characters. But he didn't name him Alex, he didn't give him orange hair, you know, he didn't make him a self-insert character. You have to kind of just like breathe life into this character, but not make it a direct copy, wish fulfillment version of yourself, if that makes any sense. You can help this by giving them a lot of flaws, like Dipper is adventurous and he really enjoys like a good mystery, but he's also untrusting and paranoid sometimes gets the best of him. Mabel is bright, sunny, and fun, but she tends to be a bit selfish. So definitely have that but moment with your character. Sophie is bright, enthusiastic, and adventurous, but she can be a little self-centered and really likes the way she looks in those superhero outfits, which can be a distraction later on. Next up is the outline to the storyboard, and this is where you really get that comedy. If you want to have a comedy series, this is where I personally really find, you know, all the jokes and stuff like that. Once I can see them, once I can like feel these characters, and you kind of start getting that script, this is where I can tie things down visually and kind of get the sense of their personalities and how people would say things. Like I said in my series a couple videos ago, I kind of created this like language that everyone speaks, not so much like Adventure Time where there's a lot of like made up words and things like that, but just kind of think of the universe and how things would be said. Like a lot of things, like they use the word peachy and things like that to make the whole environment sweet. They never swear, they sometimes would like abbreviate their words. If you guys didn't know, I'm from Boston, so she kind of talks a little like, you know, like shorter, or like uses very flowery language like we do back home. From the storyboard to the animation, I record audio between, you know, the storyboard and animation. So this is where we start to change things, and of course in animation you can add mannerisms, which is really cool. Like this one scene you can see like she kind of like flicks her toes or like pulls the hair out of her eyes. She's always like playing with her hair and like fidgety and stuff like that. And Pancake is just kind of more like stoic, and you can tell he really does not like being in this cat body, and so he kind of like resists all these like cat-like things. And then finally, in the polished storyboard, I can really just lock down everything with the final vocals and all like the mannerisms and things like that. And then you just finally have like this polished little like preview product. And that is how I wrote my web series. I hope this helped you out. I hope this inspired you to finally tackle the storyboard, the script, the graphic novel. You don't have to do all these steps. That's just what I did. And it really helped me flesh out these characters and get to know them better. Shout out, of course, to our patrons on Patreon. You guys are totally awesome. You make my dreams come true. And also shout out to the fan art of the week. You guys are so sweet and you guys are the best artists. Until next time, guys, stay inspired.